one day I was doing an exercise where you kind of move the center of your heart back and forth. And I could feel like some kind of liquid coming out of it, some kind of watery substance. And I keep moving it back and forth. And then it came out of my shoulders. And I could bring out, look, it was like a mercury substance floating in the air. I'll pull it back in, and I'll put it out there. And I said, I should record this. This is amazing. So one night I was at my office. I set up a camera to record it. So I had a camera and it wasn't working. I couldn't get it to work. So I thought, because it had to be from the center of my heart, I had to train my mind where my center was. So I got into the splits. So put equal balance on each foot to find where the pressure was in the center of my hips. And then I did this for like 10 minutes until I couldn't hold myself up anymore. So I stood up, and these little vibrations came up inside my legs and went into my tailbone. And when they met, so they came up my legs and they met, bang. And another thing hit me on the head, like a star came down and hit me on the head, right there. My body was buzzing. And as they came closer together, my eyeballs went from here to here. They made a popping sound. And when that popping sound happened, all the darkness in the room disappeared. So it's like 11 o'clock at night. And I only had a lamp on, so it was completely light. It was as if the roof was taken off. And there was sunlight everywhere. There's no shadow. I couldn't see shadow anywhere. And then I crossed my eyes again, and it went back to normal. And I crossed my eyes again, and it went back to no shadow. So I thought, that was pretty cool. Did I get that on film? And I forgot to film it. When I do my exercises, I have these things. I do a warm-up, do the exercise, and I have a closing exercise. So I went to do the closing exercise, and when I did the compression and the closing exercise, my feet went off the ground, and I floated in the air, and the walls of the building I was in dissolved away, and I could see outside the building. And I floated up a little more, and I looked down, and I noticed that the reality we think we have is really a cube. We are in a cube. So a cube with a black fluid going through it. So the darkness of the night sky is actually a fluid going through this cube. We're like in a hologram. So then I ascended up higher, and I could see other people inside their cube. And I went up higher, and I went through a ceiling and into what was like a little paradise area where like everything was beautiful and there's sunlight. And then I went up higher through clouds, and I went up higher, and I hovered before a square. And inside the square was a golden city. There's a golden city up in heaven. So some people don't like the word heaven, but so we'll say hologram, whatever you want. So then I fell back down. I fell, and I landed on my shoulder, in my hip. I got bruises, and that's when I realized there's more to reality than what we think there is. Normally you go through life, this is real, and you believe there's more. But knowing there's more really changes you. So I started teaching a course on how to do this, a step-by-step course. One time I was drawing it out. This is what you do. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And the first part is you find your center, which is, see how you're kind of opposites? You got like a mirror image of yourself. So if I go halfway, 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 I could never come to meet. It's always halfway. That's here in your center. So that's infinity, halfway, halfway to infinity. So not only is there infinity out there, there's infinity inside of yourself. And then you lay on the floor, you close your eyes, and you use your intention to almost move back and forth until you can separate your watery spirit body from your physical body. You can completely separate it. There's a demarcation, physical, non-physical. And then you create a vortex with your mind to open up the darkness, the liquid darkness. So you spin the liquid one direction, you spin it the other direction, and eventually a little window would open up. Sometimes it's a circle, sometimes it's a square or a rectangle, but it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you take your watery spirit body, so this is my physical body, but when you're doing this exercise, you take your watery spirit body, your arms, same thing, and you reach up and you pull yourself through, like you're being born into the next place, to the lower heavens. And I noticed that when I was teaching it, pretty much everybody could do it, but they didn't think it was a big deal. I got a lot of looky-loos. I had people come in and say, hey, we're going out tonight, can we do that visiting heaven thing before we go out? And so it was fine. Everybody's got their own thing. But I wanted to find more serious people. So I wrote letters to some rabbis who did the Kabbalah, which I thought the little cubes would be the same kind of deal. And then I wrote letters to the Pope. He never wrote me back. So I think this is like a big deal, right? There's a way to go to heaven. But not many people were interested. I went to the Freemasons and I got one guy to go up. He was like, whatever. All the other guys were just kind of checking their phones and stuff or scratching themselves. They weren't really even trying to do it. So I needed to find a way that people could take me out of the equation. So right now it was just me teaching them how to do it. That means nothing. Who am I? Nobody. So I thought about my relatives. All my relatives would like to go to heaven, I'm sure. And they're all Catholic. So for me to teach them, I needed to find something with a greater authority than me to agree with me. To not agree with me specifically, but agree with the process, right? So I got one of the Catholic Bibles. I was flipping through, and there's impossible. There's so many things. And then I decided to go online and just research heaven, like Bible heaven, or what it says about being saved or whatever. And I just got a bunch of those things. So a couple ones I found was like John 3.5. And it says something, don't quote me. It says something about for you to enter heaven, you must have a watery spirit body. I'm like, that's what we have. Check. Then it said another time, for you to be saved, you had to believe in the name of Jesus. Well, the name of Jesus means Yahweh is salvation. So when I talk about these little cubes and making a portal with the infinity line, so think of a line with the portal, that's YH, and making your eyes like this and coming in is a W, right? And then another H. So what happens when I did this, you first send your spirit body up into the next layer, and then you wait, and it will come back down, and when you bring your eyes together and you look far away at the same time, I know it sounds crazy, this stuff will come back down to you. So that's Yahweh. I know it has a different meaning than the Bible talks about, but does it really? Right, you gotta really, what's better? Believing it's something or actually a practical reason for it. So you have to have a little bit of discernment. If this is makes you angry to even hear this stuff, this probably isn't for you. This is for people who really want to stop waiting for 2,000 years to find out what's going on, but actually do something different. So I'm not telling you stop believing in what you believe in. I'm saying try this as well. It's not a big deal. And then the next one I found was in Matthew 7:21, where it said something about you had to do the will of the Father. So it took me a while to figure this one out. What is the will of the Father? First, who's the Father? That's easy. The Father is the creator of heaven and earth. Father is the creator. So you have to create things, to be a creator. You have to do things that creation does. So if you look at an animal or plant, they're not single-cell organisms. They're multi-cell organisms because each cell shares with the other ones. Some make this, some need this, some make this, others need this. So the goal is to make yourself stronger for the sole purpose of making others stronger. That's the will of the Father, the will of the Creator. Because anything else doesn't make something grow. It's like if you are a cell and you make yourself weaker, then the other cells around you are going to get weaker, like how a rotten apple spoils the bunch. So there's two main things. Make yourself stronger or make yourself weaker. Create or destroy. And those two things have effects on other things. So the four things: make yourself stronger for the sole purpose of making others stronger. Make yourself stronger by making others weaker. That's kind of how we are now in this reality. There is make yourself weaker to make others stronger. That's like the sacrifice. And then there's make yourself weaker and make others weaker. That's like suicide. So make yourself stronger for the sole purpose of making others stronger. That's the goal. And there's another step to it. So you know how plants or animals have ways to protect themselves. So if you're just a very weak thing and you make yourself grow, make yourself stronger, you can easily be torn apart. So part of this, you need the ability to make yourself stronger so that you can defeat evil. And the evil part is the destruction. So remember, the will of the Father. Make yourself stronger for the sole purpose of making others stronger. If you're not stronger, it's hard to make others stronger. If you are poor and you give your money away to the poor, you become more poor. If you're physically weak, you can't step in and stop an altercation. You can't reach in and pull somebody out of the water who's drowning. You can't swim down 20 feet to get somebody. So you have to make yourself physically stronger so you can help people. So your deeds become who you are. So when I had a clinic, I made up this exercise where it makes you stronger, makes you more flexible, gives you better balance, teaches you discipline, and has a side effect that you can dance, and a side effect where you can do martial arts, where you can be proficient in martial arts in a matter of months as opposed to years and decades. You can actually be formidable and dangerous because that's what you want. You want to be able to be dangerous to people who are dangerous. You want to be able to be bad to bad people. So you want to be good to good people, be stronger to help others become stronger. But if a bad person, an evil person, is making the person you're making stronger weaker, then you have to step in, and that takes being formidable to stop it. So what I did, I created martial arts that's based on 5 phases: birth, growth, transformation, decline, and death, which is of the movement, interaction. There's a controlling section or a generating section to it. 3 demarcations of size, 8 angles, and 4 pivots. So you practice these until you get those 4 things, and then you combine them. And when you combine them, you can see the functionality of the martial art. And it doesn't take long. When you work at this every day for a couple hours a day, it takes no time at all to be good at this. And also I'll put a bunch of stuff on how to strengthen your hands, your grips, how to strengthen your lats, where your power comes from, and you'll be golden. You'll be a formidable person in not a long time. Because I'm thinking we have a world right now where we don't have enough good people who are dangerous. If you're a good person, Normally you don't want to get in a fight, right? I'm good. I don't want to fight. I don't want to learn how to fight. That's not what I do. But if it ever comes to protecting somebody, you're kind of useless. If somebody's grabbing a hold of somebody's kid, call 911. That doesn't work. If you're strong enough to jump in to protect somebody, you are jumping on to the will of the Father times 10.